What's up, everybody? Let's invite Toby. We can get this thing going. What's up, Kev? Thanks for joining. If I could actually get this thing to work. What's up, Keith? Thank you for joining. Hopefully it stays still. All right, let's see if Toby joins. And what's up, Jorge? Let's see if we can get Toby in here. How you been, my friend? Oh,
Hey,
what's
Alex.
up, dude? What's going on?
Look who it is. How you
How's
doing?
it going? All right, let's get this thing started. How you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I'm glad that things are starting to get a little bit warmer. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Zoom it out a bit. All right.
All right, sir. So, I got until like 8, so let's just jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of introduce yourself to those who don't know you. You can talk about, I typically ask people how long you've been lifting and like what got you into lifting in the first place.
Hey, Alex. How you doing? All right. So my name is Toby Alder, and I've been lifting for 15 years. And I got into lifting because, well, all through schooling, I just wanted to be that kid that never got beat up by other kids. I just didn't want to get beat up at first. And then it just turned into me wanting to be the strongest and just be bigger and stronger than everybody. So it was more so for protection purposes. I just wanted to be the protector and nobody to F with me.
And then what about some of your best lifts? So one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you is because you're not just strong in the squat, bench, and deadlift. You're also really strong in different variations as well as like calisthenics, like pull-ups and stuff like that. It's crazy. So
hmm
what are some of your best lifts that you've achieved over the years?
Okay, so my best squat was 615 pounds low bar. My best high bar squat was 550 pounds for 4 reps in sleeves, 500 pounds for 7 reps. And I've done even near a set of 20 with 350 pounds, with 350 pounds for a set of 19. No belt, no wraps, no sleeves, high bar. I've done a 515 pound front squat. I've done, I've also done a pistol squat, 100 pounds for 3 reps. I've done, I've done a 430-pound bench press in the gym, 385-pound incline. I've done 315-pound seated military. I've done 200-pound seated military for 17 reps. I've done long list of laundry list. Just trying to recall. I've done 750-pound deadlift for 2 reps. I've also done 675-pound snatch grip deadlift. I've done 500 pounds for 20 reps sumo deadlift and 405 pounds for 31 reps sumo deadlift. I've done 180-pound weighted chin up, 200 pound weighted dips. I've done 8 reps handstand push-ups, 150-pound weighted pull-up, 20 reps pull-ups, and I would keep going, but it's probably boring as it is.
That's
So
so
let's just
crazy,
end it
dude.
there.
But it's nuts because, like I said, like you have really good all around strength, and it's not just you're really good at 1 rep maxes, and it's not just you're really good at endurance strength. Like you said, you've hit crazy weights, but you also have hit weights for crazy numbers. So that's pretty insane. So what about your
Yeah.
preferred like style for lifting? So like for example, like I pull conventional, I squat low bar, and then I tend to have flat feet and a wide grip for bench. Like what are your competition style lifts? Like what are you more comfortable with?
For competition, the few I've done competition with, I've done low bar because I do a little bit more 1 rep max low bar. But for some reason, for reps, I'm much better with high bar, and I'm not that great maxing out with high bar. And I guess it's kind of changed nowadays because low bar suits me when I'm a little bit heavier because I have more girth and more of a shelf to put the weight down my back. But now low bar feels pretty awkward, so I'm getting more used to high bar. As far as bench goes, I do closer grip, even though over the years I played around with grip. But because I have pec and shoulder problems, I can't really do wide grip. So I have to do narrow or close grip, but sometimes it gets wider. And my feet have to be flat on the ground because I eventually I want to compete in USAPL more. So in USAPL, you have to have flat feet instead of heels driving up. But it's still a strong bench, whether it's heels driving up, flat feet, but going by the rules. As far as conventional and sumo goes, I mean, I started out pulling sumo simply because every time I did conventional, I would have lower back pain. And then it got to a point where sumo gave me lower back pain. My man Lou. So, but then at the same time, I just prefer conventional more because I would do sumo if it's only to get my conventional stance up. But to me, sumo is more of like technique based. Conventional is more like raw strength. But in the sport of powerlifting, if sumo will get you a higher total, same with having a crazy arch on bench and low range of motion, I guess you play by the rules, you know?
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because like you're talking about, usually you pick one versus the other based off of like how it feels for you. But it's strange because it's like usually you can squat more low bar, but you're saying you feel better high bar, and then usually you can bench
Yeah,
more with a wider grip, but you actually bench over 400 pounds with a narrow grip. So all that
yeah.
stuff's pretty cool.
I'm
It's very
stronger
interesting.
at close grip.
Yeah, exactly. Um, So let me see the next one. So what about like different like styles of training? So for example, like when we worked together, you had me do different lifting variations, like you incorporated sumo, like you're saying, to help boost my conventional. We incorporated front squats, we incorporated deficit deadlifts, but have you ever used stuff like bands and chains? Like do you do speed work? Do you use specialty bars? What do you think about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've done reverse bands in the past or over the years. I sometimes do reverse bands for squats and deadlifts. Never got across using it on bench because the setup would be crazy. But I would use reverse band deadlift just to overload on deadlift heavier weight, and it would help me with lockout. Or sometimes I would do deadlifts against bands, also helps with lockout and builds floor speed. And same and chains, I don't use chains much, but it would do the same thing as bands when it comes to lockout and just feeling heavier at the top. And I would use chains for bench sometimes, same reason, just more overload at the top. And reverse band squats, so the heavier weight feels light on my back.
Gotcha. Nice. And then what about specialty bars? Like I've seen you set or lift some pretty heavy weights with like the safety squat bar, but do you ever use
Yeah.
like bamboo bars or like Duffalo bars, any of that stuff?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to safety squat bars, that's pretty much one of the few specialty bars I've used. That and also, oh, Bill, what up? And specialty bars like safety squat bar I've used. I've also used football bars. You know, the football bench bar.
Yeah.
But the thing about safety bar, because it's like a mixture of front squat and back squat mechanics wise, I seem to pitch forward a lot. So I kind of dropped that from my routine. But I see myself using it again in the future and just work harder to brace the core because I feel like it's a good exercise for the squat and the deadlift, the safety squat bar. And as far as other bars like cambered bars, uh, bamboo bars, even though I've went to many gyms with other specialty bars, even my current gym has specialty bar, but never came across using it late yet because I just want to get the basic movements down first and get the just train specific.
Yeah, something that I really appreciate about our time working together is that you kind of like not like forced me to, but like you kind of forced me to learn different like lifts. You know what I mean? So like I always pull conventional, but you were the one who introduced me to how to pull sumo. And then I'd always done like back squats. I did front squats here and there, but then when you had me do them more regularly, I definitely felt a huge transfer to my back squat and also my deadlift. So I kind of miss doing front squats. I've been using the safety squat bar here and there, but like I definitely want to get back into that because I feel like it transfers over a lot more. You just can't load up the weight as hard. You know what I mean?
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, front squats have its place. I also like the athletic carryover of front squats too. So
yeah, definitely. So what are your go-to variations for your squat, bench, and deadlift? And like, what would you say? Which ones help you the most?
I would say for squats, my besides squatting more, just doing low reps, doing high reps, for front squat of regular back squats, just do reps. Just if you're doing low reps, do high reps. If you're doing high reps, do low reps. And also, like
If you do high bar squats, do low bar squats, also do front squats. Front squats help because it helps you stay upright and it trains the core when you do regular squats, so it prevents rounding over. The number one core exercise for like squat posture would be the front squat. What up, Brian? How you doing, man? And I would like the specialty bar squats too if you have access to them. If not, then just up the squat frequency or do the opposite stance squat. For bench press, I would say also bench more. Bench is also an exercise based on high frequency. When if you want a big bench, you have to bench more. Even play with all types of reps with bench, low reps, high reps, medium reps, all weight ranges, and also stances, also grips of the bench. If also it also depends on your build too, and if your injuries can take it. But that's way later. Like if you're advanced, like do wide grip, do narrow grip, do close grip, and also I would say if you have like access to boards, do board presses or pin presses to work various lockouts, or do spoto presses. But what else I like for bench press too is basically having bigger upper body. Like, these that train. Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone likes to see that. So you have to just get bigger arms, just bigger arms, bigger shoulders, bigger delts, just train like a bodybuilder a bit, as in just curls for the girls. Yes, because biceps, believe it or not, they help stabilize for a bench and prevent injury and prevent wear and tear on the elbow. And I'm a big fan of calisthenics. Come to talk of it, do dips, weighted dips, and body weight dips. Push-ups help, and train your back too for bench. Big back, big bench. Do your rows, do your pull-ups, and weighted pull-ups too, rows, and for deadlifts, right? Same thing. Get your squat up for deadlifts, and back squat and front squat, especially front squat. I seem to see that helps deadlift more, front squats. And if you feel like your legs are lagging for deadlift and there's a big discrepancy between your back squat and your deadlift, if you get your squat up, your deadlift will go up automatically. Because if there's a big difference between your squat and deadlift, that means your legs are a limiting factor. So a higher squat will give you a higher deadlift. But if your squat is close or more than your deadlift, it's simply because you're not built to deadlift, or you have the leverages that put you at disadvantage for deadlift, like big gut or small hands, or like T-Rex arms, long torso, short legs. And you have to also find the you have to also find just lift in the style of your leverages. And what also I feel helps the deadlift too is deficit deadlifts, as in just whether you stand on a 45-pound plate or a small box, or you could do the opposite stance deadlift. Like if you pull conventional, pull sumo. If you pull sumo, pull conventional. And also pause deadlifts help a lot. Just like I said, pause squats also help squats. Whether it's pause front squats, pause back squats, pause specialty bar squats. So pause squats, pause bed deadlifts, even pause bench. Yeah, or touch and go bench for overload. But and as far as deadlifts go, yeah, range of motion, Paul, and Romanian, and same thing, rep ranges. Just work on getting stronger at higher reps, because a bigger muscle always has the opportunity to be a stronger muscle. So just get those muscles big, and work on your reps. You have to do a lot of reps, work capacity reps. You'll not only look better and be in more shape, but you'll have the potential to lift heavier weight and have higher 1 rep max work, and have a potential to have a stronger 1 rep max. And who doesn't want big muscle too? So you want to look like you could squash somebody. That's
Yeah,
partially why we lift too. You want to not just be strong, you want to look it. So
yeah, definitely. I agree with everything that you're saying. And like again, like one of the things I really like about you is you're so well rounded, right? So when we were training together and we were working on trying to get my bench stronger, not only did I bench, but I did the overhead press and I did weighted dips. And to me, like not only is that going to build up the muscles that I need and also carry over very well, but it's also going to save my elbows in the long run. Because if I'm doing whatever, like bench variations 4 times a week, it starts to eat up my elbows. And then same thing if I'm squatting low bar and I'm doing different low bar variations 4 times a week, tearing up my elbows. But when we did the different styles of lifts, like front squatting, or like if I do the safety squat bar, it helps so I can still get that stimulus without like the nagging injuries or like the fatigue that builds up. So I love everything that you just said for sure. Speaking of fatigue and injuries, how have you learned to manage those over the years? Because you've had a decently long lifting career. You've been through a lot of injuries. You've worked through them. So, like, kind of talk us through some of the things that you've had to go through, and then how you kind of got through that.
all right, so All right, so injuries. What happened to me? Okay, so a little story time. All right, so back in college, actually before college, one of my first injuries was a squat accident. I was just squatting, 360 pounds for a set of five. I crashed down, then twisted my ankle area. So I was out for a while for squats and deadlifts. And then fast forward, my second injury I've gotten, I was a sophomore in TCNJ, 19 years old at the time. I was doing I was squatting 3 days a week. I mean, squatting heavy 3 days a week, but also like 2 to 3 times a day. I was squatting because, go to class, I cough, squat, library, I cough, squat, that sort of thing. And in between days, I would deadlift. But I would also work up to like one set of deadlifts. And I would start light, but I would also do extremely high deficit. And my idea of high deficit was, those big bumper 45s,
Yeah.
right? I would stand on two of them. And then, yeah, and I got to a point and I was eating a lot of food too, so that also helps. But I got to a point where I, I, as far as, I was even using resistance bands too, but since we didn't have the real bands, I used the bootleg bands, the resistance bands that you would see in some exercise tape. Those bootleg bands I would put underneath the bumper plates, and I would also put the ends of it around the barbell. So I'd be like pulling against bands. But since they were very ineffective, I would have to use like a lot of them and the heaviest difficulty. And I was doing deficit sumo band pulls. I got to a point where I did 505 pounds bar weight with the bands on high deficit. I did an easy set of five, but again, I wasn't listening to my body because I was already beating it up with squats and stuff. Then on the fifth rep, I felt a pull in my lower back. And then after feeling the pull in my lower back, I took a good 6 months off of squatting and deadlifting completely. And and that was like my first major bulk too, that sophomore semester, the fall of the sophomore year of TCNJ. I went from 210 pounds to 250 pounds in 3 months.
That's
It
crazy.
was it was mostly fat though. I was like I was like a really lean 210 to a fat 250. And then by the summer, by July after my sophomore year was over, I got down to 225 pounds, and it took like resting and just physical therapy, and then slowly got my deadlift back up by the end of. It took 1 year to even deadlift heavy again. So that was injury number one, my lower back, and it affected my sumo even to this day. But I'm glad I don't pull sumo anymore. That's just my preference. Nothing against sumo people, but come on, they're conventional. But anyway, and my my other injury was also in TCNJ. Like around the time I met you, uh, I was I was about 248 pounds ish, pretty lean, and it was around 2015. I did a 385-pound close grip bench, paused, and then it was a winter break. I went to my home gym. For some reason, I was feeling a little tender pec, but I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do 390. So I went to try 390. Yep, 4 pec. And how I came back from that, that was my first major pec tear. On top of my ankle-ish injury, which I, even when I did Taekwondo or any sort of martial art, I would always feel it in that same ankle, and I'll forever feel it unless I get surgery or something, which I'm not going near surgery. And then my lower back, which hasn't been the same since sophomore year, and then came the Pac injury, where with the Pac, I was just I took 2 full weeks off and I just felt extremely loose. Like I could even like do a circle with the pec.
Mhm.
And then after taking off, what I did, I just got a slingshot, Mark Bell's slingshot. I was doing volume. I, I was doing 5 days a week, 5 sets of 10 with 185 pounds on the bench. And then eventually it got up to 205 pounds. And then I was benching twice a day with the slingshot. And then slowly adding weight with the slingshot. And then I eventually got up to like 300 pounds without a slingshot. And then repping 200s without a slingshot. And then slowly just working on my pec. And since then, my pec's just been back and forth problems, especially like fast forward to today where it's even more of a problem, but I'll get there. But, and then my major injury that happened was my knee injury. And that started happening when I was getting strong, very strong, around 2017. I was 250 pounds, really lean. I just kept adding the volume because I was getting extremely jacked, extremely big. I got to a point where I just kept pushing the volume because I was like, okay, I see myself getting a lot bigger. I see my workload increasing, so I just kept upping the volume. So what I did, I got to a point where I got up to doing 405 pounds high bar squat, no belt, no wraps, no knee sleeves, half to grass, completely raw, just for 6 sets of 7 reps. And my knees were feeling pretty stiff after that. And I was also on a caloric deficit that whole year because I was trying to get lean, and I was still getting stronger. And then 2 days after, I did 315 pounds front squat, same way, no belt, no wraps, no sleeves, ass to grass, for 4 sets of 7. And then the 5th set, I did 5 reps, and then I felt my knee completely gone. I was like, yep, that's it. And then, yeah, I was still 250 pounds, really lean. And then 2 days after, the same Friday, I did beltless deadlifts, beltless and dead stop. I used straps to save my hands. I did 550 pounds for 6 sets of 7, conventional. And then the same Sunday, I did a strongman competition. I only came in third out of third. 3 out of 3. Not bad. But yeah, I just did a strongman comp just for the hell of it. You know, I just felt destroyed. And then my knees were just completely gone. I couldn't squat for months. And then what happened was I was getting leaner. My bench was going up. I even did my first 405 since the pec tear for a new PR. Did my first 405-pound bench. Eventually got up to 425. And what also happened was around that same time, that whole knee injury was August of 2017. Got my first 405-pound bench, like I guess early October of 2017. And then like 1 or 2 weeks after, I got 425. And then that whole fall of 2017, I went from 250 pounds and really lean, probably my most jacked look, to 275 pounds and pretty fat. But I was also hitting my strongest weights too. I was deadlifting near 800 pounds, and I was hitting my 500 pound for 7 reps high bar squat, my 550 pounds for 4 reps high bar squat, where I could have done like 5 or 6 reps if I wanted to, but I saved it so I could front squat 515 pounds like 2 days after. And the day I did the 515 pounds front squat, which wasn't belt and sleeves, I could have done 530 that day, but always save it. And and then the 550 pounds for 2 reps conventional deadlift. The week after, I was gonna deadlift 800 pounds. I attempted 800 pounds, it didn't budge. But then I attempted 775. I almost locked it out, and then boom, bicep tear. But it also wasn't smart for me to even deadlift that day because I was just coming out of work and I was already feeling my bicep tendon that day pretty loose. So of course, having mixed grip, I wasn't. I would have gotten it with straps, but I was like, you know what? My grip is strong enough. I don't have a bicep tear yet, even though it was no brainer. My bicep was gonna tear, but I was like, if I'm going for a PR, I might as well do it without straps. But and the whole time I was getting stronger, it was through knee injury. And then fast forward to recently, I just that's really most of my injury. Just I was already pretty strong, 250 and lean. I was doing those volume PRs before the knee injury. I was already squatting 600 in sleeves, front squatting 480 pounds, and deadlifting 715. But then I did more. Then I did a little bit more, only because I gained 25 pounds and being pretty fat. But I was already very injured.
So, I guess like the next, because that's a lot to go through, and it's cool
Yeah.
to see like even though you've had some pretty serious injuries, like you're still able to lift and do what you love, like and kind of get back to it. You know what I mean? I feel like some people are so scared to do some of these movements because they're like, oh, if something happens, I'm gonna stop lifting forever. And it's like, no, you can still do stuff. You just have to figure out what's okay for you to do. But one of the things I was going to ask you, and this is something that I talked about with my boy Brandon in my last interview, was how you manage your fatigue, right? So you're freakishly strong and you're hitting these crazy weights for insane amounts of volume. And obviously, like, it's going to take a beating on your body and blah, blah, blah. But, like, for me personally, I find I can squat twice a week, or I can squat 2 or 3 times a week, and I can deadlift sometimes twice a week, and sometimes I can bench 4 times a week. But I can only keep that up for so long before I burn out or I start to feel super beat up. So what have you found is kind of like the sweet spot for you? Because again, like something that I explain to my clients is you can recover pretty easily if, let's say, you're throwing around like 135 on the bench. But once you start benching 300 plus pounds or you start squatting 400 plus pounds regularly, it's going to take a toll. So what have you noticed works best for yourself?
All right, so that's what the best thing about me getting injured, because I learned more about training every time I hurt something or every time something aches. I just have to relearn programming or just I just have to readjust, because honestly, I would say ever since I got supremely injured, even with coaching, I learned how to coach my clients better, because I was like, all right, so this is what I did to get this strong, or this is what I did, just you know, getting there. And when I get injured, I'm like, you know what? This is how I could prevent my client from getting injured, or my client just gets hurt. I could just I know what to do to prevent it from happening, or I know what to tell him so he could still lift in the long run. But for me, what I do, I just if something aches, I'm like, all right, maybe I either pull back, or I could just do a variation of an exercise that doesn't that agrees with me, or maybe I could take a week off, or say I go to the gym one day and warm-ups don't feel good. I just say, you know what, warm-ups don't feel good. I could just take it easy that day or take it down and just plan for the next session or the next week or whenever, so I can have several good sessions and make progress again. Or like I would also say that, like, I would say, all right, so where am I going with this? So,
I know what you're saying though.
but yeah, I would just, damn, just had a
No,
block.
I know exactly what you're saying because the same thing kind of happens to me with my clients, right? So like you kind of take everything as a learning experience. So when I got injured, it's because I was doing pause deadlifts and it said RPE 7 on the plan, but it was definitely a 10 the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And I was like, okay, well, I can't let coach down. I'm going to get this weight up no matter what. And then I ended up straining one of my lats and I couldn't walk for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, for my clients, I'm not going to let them get past that RPE range that is supposed to be today because that's how they're going to fry themselves 3 weeks in and then get hurt. So I get exactly what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. If anything, I also log my workouts too, even the bad ones. So I could look back like, all right, so this is a bad day. Because I would say a fraction of my workouts in my days are, and my posts are also like the ones that didn't go well, or the ones where I missed lips, the ones that didn't go well, or just something just not impressive whatsoever compared to what I've done, or like even in recent standards, just a very bad workout. And when I post the bad workouts, or when I don't feel strong, or when everything hurts, it also is there so I could, because essentially my YouTube and my Instagram, it's really a workout log, and my photos is just to see my body transform. And it's also a workout log for me. So I could see, all right, so if this doesn't go well, I could learn from this and make this better until it doesn't go well again, and then repeat. So I also realize that, all right, so maybe if I'm hurt more be doing this, I have to train this less, or I have to train eventually this many days a week, or I have to train this for this long until I have to stop X, Y, and Z before I X, Y, and Z again, and maybe I'll just start to rest until I train again.
Nice. So my next question for you is how do you spend your time training when you're not prepping for a meet? Because again, like you're a very well-rounded dude, and normally, like if I ask like a typical powerlifter, like what do they do when they're not prepping for a meet? And they're like, bro, what do you mean? I'm just squatting, benching, and deadlifting like all year long. And I'm like, okay. So like, what else do you find yourself doing?
What I do, I mean, I pretty much train the same all year round, really. Even when I am prepping for a meet, I do the other movements. But when I'm prepping for a meet, especially closer to a meet, I focus more on the 3 power lifts and what will get the 3 power lifts up. And especially weeks out or days out of a meet, I'll just peak on those lifts, whether it's hitting a small PR or close to a PR or something I know I can hit, so I can have a rough estimate of what I could get meet day, so I can know what I will hit meet day, whether I PR on the meet day or not. And then I'll probably take a few days off or a week off or something so I can recover. But when I'm not prepping for a meet, I'll just train exercises that I want to get stronger, or variations I want to get stronger. So I really could, just for the sake of getting that exercise stronger. Because yes, I'm a powerlifter and a strength athlete, but I like I also like calisthenics. I like training the variations, and I like some exercises for the sake of doing some exercises.
Yeah,
Also, I would say I'm a bodybuilder in my own mind, so I feel like those exercises are good for building mass and building muscle. Because I also want to look the part. I want to also perform. So even exercises outside the big three, even though a bulk of your programming should be the big three, but also add your pull-ups and other movements. I also like shoulder presses, and but if you're a powerlifter, then your sole purpose in powerlifting should just train in a way that will get you to your biggest total possible.
right.
But I do more than just powerlifting.
Yeah, and I think I would say it's probably similar to me. I think you have a little more emphasis on calisthenics movements, which I would like to get more into because my pull-up sucks and my dip sucks. Um, but I normally what I'll do is I'll spend the warmer months of the year doing bodybuilding, trying to put on size, get more jacked, and then I'll spend the colder months more focused on strength. Or it also depends on if I'm in like a deficit or not. But usually my training is more volume oriented if I'm not trying to peak. And then if I am trying to peak, a little more consistently heavy. I was going to ask you, do you tend to incorporate like heavy singles into your training, or is it more so volume based?
Yeah, I incorporate every rep in the book. I do heavy singles when I'm like, sometimes I'm like, especially over the years, I'm like, yeah, yeah, definitely, Brian, power builder. You
Yes,
know, when you're like, you care about strength, but also want to get these people.
exactly.
See that? Oh, look at that.
Exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, mostly I do heavy singles sometimes. It's where I'll just, if I feel good, I'll just be like, especially in the off season, I'm not training for anything. I'll be like, you know what? I feel like I could do a heavy single or maybe a new max. I'll train for a max, depending on how I feel. But if I don't feel good, whether warm ups don't feel good or just I completely failed a single, then it's like, you know what? Just do whatever the rest of the workout, whatever you feel like. If not, if the single goes well, then do the single. Or if a single is part of the program, I would do a single. But mostly, if I'm training for a meet, I would do the singles like more towards the end of my strength phase or like in the PR phase. But like nowadays, like the past several months, I haven't been training for anything, so I would just do singles just for the hell of it
Yes.
because I'm like, well, I mean, normally I have a planned program, but sometimes like, you know what? I'll go off program. I want to see if I could work up to a single, then I would. Otherwise, I would do singles, doubles, triples, fours, fives, even all the way to tens, sometimes 15s, sometimes 20s. And if I'm really crazy, just 30s, 50s. I'll do all the reps in the book, just do reps. I like my reps. Reps build muscle,
Definitely. And it's always funny.
especially with heavyweight.
Exactly. It's always funny when I tell people about like my times working with you, especially like if I'm teaching my clients how to do the overhead press and like let's say they're doing like a set of 8 and by the time that they're done with the set of 8 they're gassed out, right? They're super tired.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I know how you feel because my old coach Toby had me work up to sets of 15. And they're like,
Oh,
yeah, that's crazy. Or like the times that we do like the AMRAP sets, like when I've had my clients do the Wendler 5-3-1 program and they're trying to do as many reps as possible. I'm like,
mhm.
yeah, Toby had me do the AMRAP sets and I was doing sets of like 23 for sumo deads at like 300 pounds. Yeah. Toby, yeah, exactly. You
Toby
guys need to
Alder
hire
strength
this
coach.
man
What's up,
to coach.
man? Toby Alder strength coach. You
Exactly.
know.
All right. So my next question for you, because obviously everybody knows you as an absolutely genetic freak like athlete, like super strong, blah blah blah. But what they don't know is that you had to take a bunch of time off of the gym. I mean, everybody had because
Yeah.
of the pandemic. So what was it like for you having to cope with the gym shutting down and then kind of going from like this peak athlete that's deadlifting almost 800 pounds to kind of having to like restart? Like, how did that affect you mentally, and like how did you get through all of that?
All right, when I was already in my peak, when I was like I was a freak athlete, 250 lean, still deadlifting over 700, squatting 600. And that was before the serious injuries took place, benching 400s. And then I got to a point where I was deadlifting near 800, front squatting over 500. And I was with severe knee injuries. And around that time, I got to 275 in fat. And then for like the next 1-2 years, I got even fatter because, I got 275 to like 2019, 2020, 285 because I kept eating. I was just enjoying food. And I wasn't, and my knee injuries were so bad, I was barely able to squat and deadlift. But even with that, just because I was 280 pounds, I was able to squat near 600 in sleeves, no problem. And with knee injuries, then I was deadlifting 675 any day of the week just for the hell of it without training it. And I was focusing more on my upper body. That's when I was hitting like my 315 seated military, my 430 bench, like a speed bench. And around that time, I did my 402-pound bench in the meet. And yeah, my best competition lifts, if I didn't say, I did 565 in sleeves, 560 without sleeves, squat, and 705 deadlift raw in competition, 402 bench in the meet. And so I got to a point where because the gym shut down, I was like, okay, the gyms have shut down, we're on lockdown. There's no heavy barbell in my house. Everything is closed. I don't want to get COVID. And I'm over here, no barbell, nothing. I'm 285 pounds, fat as hell. What am I, 285 pounds? Well, I'm not going to enjoy. All right, the dude, have a good one, man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
All right, so 285 pounds. How am I going to, you know, what am I going to do now? No restaurants there for me to eat the food. No weight for me to lift. So I'll make this lockdown something. So I just went on a big cut, just depriving myself of food, really, so I could lose weight fast. So within 6 months, I lost 20 pounds of body weight. I went from 285 to 260. And then the last 6 months, I lost another 10 pounds, got down to 250 pounds. So during the whole pandemic, I went from actually, no, I think I lost 40 pounds, actually. Yeah, first 6 months, I lost 30 pounds, went from 285 to 255. And I didn't exercise at all. I was just doing cardio because I wanted the cut to be legit, so I would just lose as much weight as possible, lose that facial bloat, just have it go, lose the big stomach. I was just losing as much as possible. That was the goal. So I lost the weight, and then I just started the calisthenics. And then with the calisthenics, I was like, all right, since I can't lift weights in the gym, I'll see if I can build some muscle back. I lost a good about. Yeah, the moon face. That to me, no one likes the moon face. I mean, no, you can still pull chicks with moon face. It works. I made it work. But anyway, yeah, I was like, you know what? No barbell, no restaurants, might as well look good. So, and then I started calisthenics again. And then I lost another 10 pounds before gyms came back. And then that's when I first time touching a barbell, bench 275, did a 135-pound. You already know, Brian. See, moon face work. I mean, fat people could get girls. When people say you need abs to get girls, they're lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lie. That's what idiots say. But anyway, but yeah, I had 275-pound bench, 315-pound, 135-pound weighted chin up, and then did easy set of five with 315-pound squats, and I just and it was a slow build back of strength, gained body weight back, but also gained a lot of muscle back. Gained a lot of muscle back, some fat, but also gained fullness back, especially my shoulders. My shoulders lost a lot of fullness. I lost a lot of muscle too in the cut, but I was just glad to just look less fat. Even right now, I mean, I like how I look now a lot better than before, and I know this is a lifestyle thing, so I know whatever physique I will get or end up getting, it's gonna come with time. The strength too, I mean, I pretty much achieved the strength I wanted to achieve, and it's still gonna get better, so it's gonna come with time. My strength will get here with time. My physique will get better with time. So it's a lifestyle thing.
Yeah,
Just put in the time with life, and you'll get there.
definitely. And I remember like when I was first checking up on you to see how everything was going, you were saying that your joints and everything felt a lot better too, not carrying around that much weight. And I
Yeah,
definitely like I feel you on that because when I was 236, I just felt so heavy and achy all the time. And then when I cut down to 185, like I felt more mobile. I could get in better positions for everything. Like I definitely felt better overall. So speaking of calisthenics, what's your approach to programming for strength training, hypertrophy, and calisthenics? So one of the things that I really liked while I was working with you is when we were trying to get my pull-up stronger, you did a lot of sets, but low reps for each one. So I could still get quality pull-ups in, but I could also still get a decent amount of volume. So I guess let's hone in on the calisthenics. Like, how did you train to get those stronger during lockdown?
me, I train calisthenics same way I train the power lifts and the variations. I just I do a lot of volume, and not just volume. I just make sure I get quality reps in, and I just make sure with each set I leave room in the tank. So if say my best set of pull-ups is 10 reps, I may start by doing twos one week, do as many sets of two as possible, and keep the reps good, well. And once it gets hard, I stop. And then the next week, I do threes, and then fours, and then fives. And then once I get like maybe three or less sets at a certain weight, or I just keep adding sets and reps. And then once I get like uh, less than three sets with a certain amount of reps, then I just cut down the reps and add weight. That's what I do with the calisthenics. And that's the same type of training I do with the weights. And I always leave room in the tank, and I wait for the exercises to get hard so I could still recover.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's very interesting because you're one of the hardest training people that I know of, but even you know that sometimes you have to leave a little bit in the tank, you know what I mean? So that way you can actually progress and keep moving on and not burn yourself out. Because
Yeah,
I've been so guilty of that over the years. I'm just like, oh well, I'm gonna train harder than everybody else, and then I go balls to the wall, and then I burn out like 3 months in, and then I have to like take a step back, and then I lose everything, and it's a vicious circle. So um, that's cool. Yeah, and again, like that's very smart because you're making sure that everything's quality. You're making sure the work gets done, but you're also making sure you can recover while you're doing it. Um, So I got two more questions for you. The first one is, what advice would you give to people just starting or in the early stages of their lifting career?
All right, so I would say to the people starting out, I would say just take your time with the whole training. Just take your time and make sure when you get into lifting, you need to just make sure it's something you want to do. Don't let people pressure you into anything. Make sure you truly are doing it for the reasons, your own personal reasons. And also, don't take it extremely seriously, but take it as seriously as you want to. We all have reasons for doing something. We all have reasons why we get into certain lifestyles or make certain choices, and everything takes time. If you find yourself not making progress, look at other resources. Luckily, we're in an age where there's like free information online, social media. You can look at what the best are doing in each discipline and look at what they're doing, look at how they train. There's a lot of good videos out there, including mine and Alex's. Yeah, you said it, Alex. Everything takes time. That's true. Everything takes time. You have to be patient. And yeah, nothing is built overnight. And if you feel like you need, if you feel like you need an extra ounce of help, get a coach, hire a coach, and a coach that wants you to do well. Just remember, coaches also started out as beginners. Everyone had a teacher. A teacher had a teacher. That's right, Brian. Consistency.
Consistency is
You
huge.
know that more than anything. Be consistent, stick with it. And a teacher had a teacher, and a teacher had parents. You had parents. Your parents had parents. Your parents had mamas. Yeah, just stick with it, and everything comes with time, consistency. Be dedicated, and you'll have a lot of bad times, right? You'll have a lot of times where you're like, man, I'm not getting this result. This person's doing better than me. Uh, this is getting boring. You lose motivation. You'll have a lot of low times, but those are the. That's when you want. That's when you have to stick to it. Just stick to the low times and say like, you know what? These low times happen to everybody. It's not all glamorous. That's when you see if you want to do it the most. And with every low time and setback you have, good comes out of it. That's when you succeed, because those are the dark times. Like even in school, you go through the finals and midterms, and then school's over, and then you move up the next grade. Just like lifting, you go through the hard workouts, and whether you compete or go for the next PR, add that inch of arm muscle or bicep, and then you keep going up. And also know that this is a lifestyle thing. You also have to just enjoy the journey. Don't just, it's not a quick fix. You have to do this for a lifetime. And also, don't be afraid to put lifting on hold too if other life situations have to be handled, because the gym will always be there. Lifting will always be here. You always have time to compete. So if you have real life family matters or work matters or financial matters that need to get done, get that done first. And then also find time for lifting if that's truly your passion, if that's truly your hobby, that's truly you want to get good at. You can make time for everything. And also, I would say this too, stay natural. You could achieve anything naturally. Even me, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I didn't think I would be even get alone over 250 pounds, mostly muscle naturally. I started out 14 years old, 145 pounds. I'd even bench press 100 pounds. Now I did over 400 pounds in competition. I couldn't, and my squat was low 100s. And now I did over 600 in the gym, near 600 in competition. And deadlift, I'd even do three plates aside on deadlifts, and then I got near 800 pounds naturally. And I'd even think I could do that on steroids. And even other exercises like seated military. Most I got was 315 pounds. And I was that kid in high school. My seated military starting, I was struggling benching the 40-pound dumbbells. And the 25s were hard. And even my mom's 10s in high school, I couldn't even shoulder press them for more than like 10 reps without struggling. So, come a long way.
Nice. I really appreciate all your time for everything. I have to get ready to go, but before I do, my last question for you was, what are some of your personal lifting goals for 2022?
All right, so my personal lifting goals, I would say just if I could match or if I could get close to or match my 430-pound gym bench. If not, then I could just anywhere between 405 and 425 while looking better and feeling healthier. As far as squat goes, anywhere from 405 for 10 to 15 reps, while a high bar, nothing on my knees, or maybe I might eventually watch knee sleeves. And for pull-ups, neutral grip, maybe get back to 135, minimum 150 pounds, but that's extra. Or maybe like 115-pound neutral grip pull-up, but mostly like 135 or 150 pounds. Taking I weighed 250 pounds and over and pretty lean. And maybe just get close to like 15, 20 reps neutral grip pull-ups. And I can only do neutral grip because that's what my shoulders could take pull-up wise. And deadlift, see if I could slowly just keep inching my way up. But my deadlift goals are just gonna be more based on how my back could take it, and it's gonna take. And I'm looking years down the road for deadlift rather than end of the year because I want to still be able to do this when I'm in my 50s, 60s, and 70s. Still be the jacked guy with muscle who is pretty strong without being a complete cripple. Even though injuries are a part of the journey when you're lifting extremely heavy weights. Some people don't get injured, lucky them. But if you get injured, the best way is to not get it like a life-threatening injury where you never lift again. So I'm thinking more of the long run. So I'm doing more slow and steady.
Nice. All right, sir. Again, I really appreciate your advice. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. This has been a lot of fun. We'll definitely have to do this again. And again, I appreciate you sharing all your knowledge and experience because I know a lot of people know you're like a freak, especially when it comes to the big three, but I don't think they know like how knowledgeable you are like when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So if you guys haven't considered hiring Tobi, you guys should definitely hire him. I am fully advocating it. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your night, sir, and I will hopefully talk to you again sometime soon.
You as well, Alex. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you too. All right, Tobi, I'll talk to you later.
And thanks for everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And peace out, Alex.
All right, see you.